You've probably heard the question, is it ever too cold to snow? Well, let me rephrase that to make it more appropriate for the summer. Is it ever too hot to rain? Now that might sound like nonsense, but an event earlier this month got me thinking about it. Late in the afternoon of June 4th, the temperature in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, was 113 with dusty sunshine, fairly common conditions there in early June. But an hour later, the observation was not typical. A thunderstorm with rain and a temperature of 109. An hour later, 104 and still raining lightly. In total, 4/100ths of an inch were measured. Now, it's very unusual to get rain in Mecca in June. In fact, most sources list average June rainfall there as 0. And there's a connection between the heat and the lack of rain. Such high temperatures typically require lots of sunshine, which often accompanies surface high pressure and its sinking air, neither of which favor rain-bearing clouds. In fact, many of Earth's deserts are found in latitude bands dominated by high pressure, subtropical areas centered on about 30 degrees north and south of the equator. So how did Mecca get rain on June 4th? Well, here's a visible satellite image of the area that morning. You can see lots of dust in this picture, but not a cloud to be found east of the Red Sea. Now, Mecca is about 40 miles inland. Now, here's the same image in mid-afternoon local time. Note the clouds organized in a band east of Mecca. These formed as relatively moist air moving inland from the Red Sea interacted with the mountains. Now, some of these clouds grew tall enough to rain, and a few hours later, they drifted back west towards Mecca. And how does this fit into the question I asked at the start about being too hot to rain? Well, this rain in Mecca tied the record for highest temperature at which rain has been observed. There's one other known case of rain at 109 in Marrakesh, Morocco in July 2010. Now, admittedly, this is an obscure record with limited observing sites in areas where the record would be set, but it does give us a sense for what the threshold might be. Now, here's one other angle on this story. We typically think of rain as cooling us off, but in the case of the rain in Mecca, it was probably more like taking a warm shower. Now, this shows the air temperature in the lowest 3,000 feet near Mecca, a few hours before the rain. Notice that through nearly all of this layer, it's 100 degrees or higher. If we use a reasonable speed for falling raindrops, we find that the Mecca raindrops would have been in this very hot air for about 2 minutes. Raindrops often warm up to within a few degrees of the air temperature within a few minutes. That's according to a landmark study back in the 1940s. So it's certainly possible that the raindrops that fell on Mecca on June 4th would have been 100 degrees or so by the time they reached the surface. Now that's what I'd call a warm summer rain. Paul Knight is back to see if any raindrops are in our future in the extended forecast next.